Folks, welcome. We're going to get started in just a second, actually. Just allowing a couple people to come in, and then we'll just get started in about 1 or 2 minutes. Thanks. Mhm. Brent, I've got about 2 o'clock or so. Do you want to get moving?
Yeah, I think we can get started.
Terrific, terrific. Perfect. Let me just I have just some opening remarks actually at all too. So welcome everyone, and thanks for joining today's RVDA webinar on product merchandising and creating a more effective retail experience in your RV dealership. My name is Patrick Calpin, and I'm the Director of Partnerships here at RVDA. We started these monthly webinars, which share a common theme, which I call Help Me Solve. And they're really designed to identify common issues or areas of improvement at an RV dealership, identify possible solutions, and improve your bottom line. Today, I'm really excited to be joined by Brent Troncalli from Dometic, one of the RV industry's foremost industry suppliers. Brent's deep experience in retail merchandising and the outdoor industry brings tremendous insight to the topic. Some of you might know Brent from his work at the helm of the Dometic Product Academy, a learning management system which is designed to enhance product knowledge and sales performance at RV dealerships. I actually met Brent earlier this year at NTP Stag back in January when I attended the Dometic product workshop and learned about the academy. And after hearing his perspective and passion for helping RV dealerships improve performance, I immediately knew that we needed to partner with him on an RVDA webinar. Today's session is packed with practical ideas and real world strategies that RV dealers can put to work right away. I'm also excited to announce that for those of you who are parts managers or parts specialists, your participation in today's webinar makes you eligible for one continuing education credit or CEU. Brent, let me go ahead and turn it over to you. Thanks again for partnering with RVDA to co-host this webinar. I'll come back with a few questions later in the presentation. I think we're scheduled to go for about 45 minutes. So, Brent, the floor is yours there.
Thank you very much, Patrick, for that great introduction. And I also wanted to thank you, Patrick, and RVDA for allowing me to speak today. I'm excited to do this, and we've also got with us Wyatt Helms. He's a customer service agent at Dometic. So if you do put in a question in the Q&A at the top, then Wyatt will do his best to answer that question for you. He does assist with the Dometic Product Academy, so you could ask a question about that if you wanted to. I am going to go ahead and share my screen with everybody, and I will do that at this time. If I can get a thumbs up, Patrick, you can see my screen. All right, great. So first of all, this class is on the Dometic Product Academy. So these little things at the bottom, you're not going to actually be able to react to these because we are in a Teams webinar. But first of all, about myself a little bit. I am the sales training manager for Dometic. I've only been with them for 3 years, but I've actually got 30 years of retail experience in the outdoor market. Work for Bass Pro Shops. I've worked for Dick's Sporting Goods, Public Lands, and actually own 3 of my own outdoor retail shops in the future. So I live down in Georgia, about 30 minutes from the Appalachian Trail. So I love to get out and hike in the outdoors and camp out there. So enough about me. Let's learn a little bit about merchandising excellence. So the goal of this class is to help you increase sales without spending a huge amount of money. And we're going to go over a few different points in here. First of all, we're going to try to master some visual merchandising strategies that help the sales. We are going to talk a little bit about organizing the inventory for maximum accessibility and appeal. We're going to try to solve some merchandising challenges for large and hard to display items. And we're going to speak a little bit about customer flow in seasonal product rotation. So let's go ahead and dive into this. First of all, you're not going to be able to click on this because we're not in the Dometic Product Academy right now, but I do want you to think about this question before we start. How often do you change around your retail floor? And when I'm stating this, I don't mean completely redoing the entire floor. I mean at least redoing some end caps here and there, changing the counter display. A lot of the retail dealers that I enter have had a very similar look for years and years and years. So as we go through this class, think about how often you change it and what you can do to improve your look. So what does great merchandising look to the experts? Well, if you looked it on Google or something, you're going to see a picture that looks like this. You're going to see some amazing color blocking and everything lined up beautifully, some really great lighting. Here's another picture here. This is done more of in a wood motif. You can see that experts like this stuff because your eye is drawn to the product, right? Here's another one done with some terracotta tiles. If you look at all of these, the key though is that they are bringing your eyes to the product. But this isn't the world we live in. RV parts don't look like high fashion design. They look like hubcaps and sewer hoses. So that's what we're going to try to work with a little bit today. So I hope nobody's store looks this bad, but the idea is to go from something like this to something that looks a bit more like this. So as you can see, you're going to see some great lighting, you're going to see some clean signage, you're going to see some nice flooring, and everything's well organized. So when I think of a great merchandising and RV parts store, this is somewhat what I think about compared to those super slick designs on the earlier page. So let's dive in a little bit deeper. First of all, let's talk about the fundamentals. Without a foundation, you're not going to be able to move forward. But why is this important? All right. I'm not sure how many of you guys know, ladies and guys, how many of you know that good merchandising can increase the average transaction by 20 to 35%. That's some pretty huge numbers. It's going to reduce the time the customers spend searching for the item, and it's going to improve their experience. It's also going to decrease the questions at the counter, which is going to leave your staff to deal with the real problem instead of saying, hey, where do I find this gray water hose? You're going to be able to deal with, I need to upgrade my AC. Will this work with my rig? Contra did a report recently that said shoppers spend 20% more time in stores with good visual merchandising, and 73% of customers are more likely to return. Our biggest competitor is not the RV store down the street. Our biggest competitor is those guys online, Amazon namely. That's where a lot of our customers are buying. So we're never going to be able to beat Amazon on a 3-hour delivery. It's going to be tough to beat them on price a lot of the time in the selection. So we need to beat them on getting the customer excited when they walk into your store. If they've walked into your store, you've already solved half of the problem. You've gotten them there. So let's try to keep them there. All right. Customers browse in two distinct ways. There's mission shoppers and discovery shoppers. We get both of them in our store. Mission shoppers really know exactly what they need. They're going to walk into the store, say, I need a 15 to 30 amp connector. That's what I want to get. They want to find it quickly, and they value that organization and signage. But what's important is if you have good merchandising, that mission shopper may well discover additional items that they need or that they just want. So that's a key takeaway for mission shoppers. For discovery browsers, they're maybe preparing for a trip. They don't really know what they need. Maybe they're a new RV buyer, somebody upgrading, somebody that just hasn't camped in a few months. They're going to be very influenced by visual displays. So I have on here a thing called the ugly pie scenario. When I was in college, my college roommate would get a slice of pie every night in the dorms. He was a little weird because he was the only person I knew that would always pick the ugliest piece of pie because he felt sorry for it. But that is not what most people do. They will pick out the prettiest looking thing, the box with no wrinkles, that hasn't been touched, that doesn't have staples in it. So it's important to have some nice, good visual merchandising for those people. And these people oftentimes need inspiration and education. In an RV parts store, the best merchandising is going to serve both of these types of customers. So that's going to be our goal, is to help out the mission shopper and this discovery browser. Now, customers move through our space in different ways. There's some basic traffic flow principles. And I forgot to mention, I will include probably, I'm guessing tomorrow, if not tomorrow, the day after, I will send you guys some of these lists if you would like them also. I believe I have everybody's email, so I can follow up some lists for you guys to help you with some of this. But customers follow specific traffic flow oftentimes. So most people take a right turn when they enter, when they have the opportunity into a store. It's just like driving. A right turn is typically a little bit easier. So that's something you should think about. Perimeter path. Oftentimes people walk the perimeter first and then go inside. All right. So these are important, these first couple, because for the right turns, is where you might want to place some featured items when somebody walks inside of their store. The perimeter is where discovery and lifestyle products can go. So this isn't going to be things that this is not going to be the adapter that I was speaking about. It could be something that's a little bit more fun. It could be an outdoor game. It could be furniture. It could be something like even like a Starlink, something that you're really wanting to upgrade to. Now, a zone that is very important to me is called the decompression zone. This is that first few feet in the store. The smaller your retail space is, the smaller that decompression zone is. This is a place that customers are not really oriented when they walk in. If the second somebody walks in your store, you do not want to place the featured items at that time. You actually want to make it a little bit deeper. A lot of big stores follow this, some don't, but to me it really does make a difference. So we will speak to that a little bit later. The counter magnet, I think all of you know that customers gravitate towards this customer service counter. That's a place they're going to go. So it's a really good place to put impulse items. Very few RV dealers have I seen actually use the service counter for merchandising. It doesn't need to be covered up with stuff. That's not what I mean. But you can put some small items in there. If you go in most retail stores nowadays, from the grocery store to Marshall's and TJ Maxx, when you're going to the register, they have a lot of small pickup items. So maybe it's a great place to have decks of cards, water bottles, some different things like that that somebody could use, beef jerky. Dead zones, these are corners and areas behind the obstacles. These get less traffic, so it's a good place to put overflow and backstock items. The key thing I want you to take away from this is, how many of you have actually stood at the back corner of the store incognito and watch your customers on a busy day? This is something I did when I did consulting. I would go into a store wearing a hoodie, stand in the corner for 3 hours and take notes. It is very surprising to see what customers do when they walk in your store. Are they going straight to the service counter? Are they going to a specific area? And you can really help to change where your items are depending upon where that customer goes. All right, merchandising zones. This is another takeaway I want you to think about. Make a map of your retail layout. A lot of people don't do this, but it's going to become key as we get a little deeper into the merchandising topics, because it's going to be important when we're talking about seasonal changes and things like that. So let's talk about these merchandising zones a little bit more. So this is a power zone. So first of all, power zones is going to be right where it says this featured RV accessories. All right, this is just an example, of course, but when somebody walks in your store, it's not in that first 5 feet, but it is where they're going to be drawn. So it's a great place to put high margin items. It's a great place to put your seasonal items. So right now we're getting into summer in a lot of parts of course, parts of the country. So put those seasonal summer items in there. If it's winter, we might want to end up using things like winterizing products, or if it's fall. The counter zone, now this is an AI picture I made because I didn't want to take anybody's picture of their store. So I really don't want you to cover your counters in items like this, but you can put some grid wall in the front. You could make some shelves on it. You can stick some things on the corner. So that's that counter zone. Category zones are typically areas like the electrical, plumbing, and towing that you see in the back. So these are those segmented areas that are designed for one purpose. And then discovery zone, everybody would love to have a giant discovery zone. That's where you see this tent campfire. I realize that many RV stores do not have the space to do a discovery zone, but we're going to talk about some other ideas in the end. So what I want you to do really here is think about making a map of your retail layout so that you, as we discuss some of these zones a little bit further, you'll understand how to change a few things around. So make sure to ask yourself, do any of you have defined zones right now? Many RV parts stores don't, and it is something that can make a big visual impact with your customers. All right, counter displays and self-service. So our parts departments work on what I like to call a hybrid model. So that means customers are going to be able to browse independently, but they can also typically go up to your counter. I do realize there's a few stores that don't even have much of a retail area, and maybe they keep everything in the back stock. But it's important to have these category zones done correctly so that customers that need to self-serve themselves can do it, so that the customers that really need help at this power service zone are able to ask the customers or ask the questions and get the answers that they need. So again, this is a hybrid model. So a couple things we can do. We can display the frequently asked about items where customers can see and touch them. So one thing I always like to do at my retail stores is I would keep a clipboard, or you can put it on a note on a computer. The questions you're getting over and over and over, keep a note of those. If you're getting a question over and over and over, that's where you probably need better signage, or you need a way for that customer to help themselves. So we do want to have clear signage to answer these common questions. I understand the real technical stuff you can't do it with, but if somebody's constantly asking, hey, do I need a 30 amp or 50 amp, or what is this? You can definitely come up with some things for that. Create ask me about displays for complex products. So if you've got something that is confusing to the average customer, a lot of people are scared to ask questions. They would rather leave the store than actually get their questions answered. And I think this is becoming a bigger thing in today's cell phone world, that people are scared to talk sometimes. So simply putting ask me about this product if you have a question can oftentimes make them feel comfortable enough to go up and ask that question. Make sure when you're making your map, you position the staff counter with clear sight lines to the display area. Again, this isn't always possible, but if you are moving around fixtures, try to position that staff counter so you can see as much. So good merchandising empowers customers to help themselves, and again, it frees your team to provide high value service to the customers that really, really need that. So what are 5 things we can do pretty quickly? First of all, face and fill. This is one of the easiest things you can do. Face and fill means making everything look as full as possible. So you can see in this picture, all of the products are brought to the front. It's a little tough to see, but on a couple of these little squeeze bottles here, there's only one of them. But because they're all brought to the front, it makes it look fuller. They're all facing the exact same direction. It is amazing how things facing forward can make a significant difference in the way your merchandising looks. If you can't fill something up, put something else there. All right. And what I mean by that is it may be a great place to put some catalogs. You can keep a half dozen frames in the back where you can put pictures of people camping. You can do some other things like that, but empty shelves do not look good. Clear the clutter. Again, I hope nobody looks like this, but I have seen a lot of places where they've had a sign up that's 5, 7, 9 years old because they don't have a replacement. All right. So if you've got signs that are falling apart, if you've got products that are falling apart, you're going to have to figure out a way to clear those out. There should not be employee water bottles out there. There should not be junk out there at all. clear that clutter and make it look pretty. Light it up. This is a little tough to do today, but lighting is essential in RV parts store. First of all, a lot of our customers are older. A lot of these customers cannot see perfectly. If you don't have good lighting and they can't read something, there's a good chance they're going to put it down and walk away. So having good lighting is a little bit more money. Most of you guys have techs. Most of you have the experience to put up some can lighting, to get some LED lighting. It's pretty inexpensive out there, but I rarely walk into an RV store that has good lighting. Group by use, we're going to get into this a little bit more, but it is actually making sure things are grouped by how somebody's going to use them. When a new product comes in, it doesn't mean you just grab it and find a space for it. I see that time and time again. Some stock person, oh, I don't know where to put this. Oh, look, there's an empty space, and they just stick it there because they don't want to take the extra 30 minutes to move everything down. Lastly, refresh weekly. This does not mean just restocking the inventory. It also means cleaning up some things, checking for signage, checking to make sure the prices are on items correctly. Alrighty, a little bit of analyzation here. So I would like you all to think about your current parts department and think about which of these 4 zones really is underutilized, and think about one thing you could do this week. I try to always put things into weeks and not days as much, because a week typically allows the time period to do it. So I'd like each of you to try to come up with some goals to do for the next week. We're getting into the busy season, so if you don't have anything around your counter, find a couple small items you can put up there. If you don't have a discovery zone, which is that lifestyle area, even if you can just put up a rocking chair and put up a couple of items around it, can make a significant difference. Alrighty, visual appeal and product placement. We want to figure out the best way to make products irresistible. So we're going to talk about this a little bit. So why do grocery stores stock the cereal like this? I know a lot of you probably have the answer, but grocery stores are very specific where they stock most of the items in the store. Cereal in particular is done different than most of the rest of the store. Who buys cereal? Kids. Kids are the ones. Of course, their parents are paying for it. But if you go in a typical cereal aisle, all of the kid-specific cereal is going to be at about a 5 foot and down. At the top, you see Wheaties and Kix and these fiber cereals for the taller and older people. Kids will go all the way down to the ground to find their cereal. You go to the other department, like the wine area, and you're going to see wine right at face level. So they would never put the high-end wine at the bottom. Whereas cereal, they will, because kids are shorter. So how can we think about using this same concept for RV products? It mostly means that eye level is by level. So anything is at 4.5 to 5 feet, oftentimes will sell 35% better than products placed on lower or higher shelves. So if you've got, let's just say, sewer hoses, and you've got 4 different types of sewer hoses, we want those to be placed together. Your most expensive sewer hoses should be in that high margin item right at that eye level. Put the cheap stuff at the very bottom so people have to bend over to get it. You don't want them to see this first. Above eye level, we don't want to put really heavy stuff. It's a great place. Again, sewer hoses would work there, but lighter weight items, bulk packages, things like that. The waist level is nice to have the items that people are going to be buying all the time. You want them still to be able to find them. You don't want them out of reach. And then the below waist level could be, again, those lower margin bulk items, overflow, things like that. Next, creating visual impact with color and grouping. I showed you those first couple pictures of what the experts think merchandising should look like. That's really tough in an RV store. I realize that, but we can still group similar colors together to create visual blocks. So you can put blue items together. You could put red safety items together. You can also do contrasting colors. So here we can see blue and yellow, which are contrasting colors placed together. We can arrange colors from light to dark. You'll see that done sometimes. So the lightest colors go to the dark colors. That visual appeal will make the stuff look better. It will make it a higher value for the customer's eyes. It's amazing what their senses can do. We still want to maintain consistent brand color placement. So if you have that manufacturer's products together, you're oftentimes going to have the same color. Now, it's important to remember, organization should never sacrifice findability. Right? So when I said that you still want things to be able to be found at eye level and waist level. So this color is kind of a secondary thing. So I can give you an example at the bottom here. Which display has used color blocking better? It's pretty easy to see. Water bottles. This should have been a beautiful display. It would be so easy to organize this with pinks and purples here and red and white and blue here maybe. It's easy to do, but here somebody was lazy. At the exact same store in the women's clothing area, this is underwear, and you can see some nice color visual blocking. So the customer will actually spend more money on stuff that's color blocked correctly, and they've done several studies about it. Now, is this an RV store? Well, probably not underwear, water bottles maybe, but this is a pretty example here. These are something that you're going to stock into a store. So you can see here some nice color blocking, nice organized in here. This is even a little bit different. A dealer sent this in to me that they thought they'd done a good job with color blocking. It's pretty dang good job here. There's some nice, the reds are all together here. So they've got nice, clean, faced in front towards the very front of the shelves. So even though it's an RV store and there's some different parts, you can do it. Now, if you look up, not real happy with this opening in the ceiling. This is the type of thing that you need to take the time to look at in your stores. Having openings like this can create problems. Their lighting is pretty good in here, which is good. And I actually love the fact that they put down luxury vinyl flooring. That is a pretty inexpensive, big upgrade you can do in your store. Is that vinyl flooring. It looks so much better than concrete, and it's especially important if you have somebody coming in that is not used to an RV store. They're used to shopping at night, maybe more upscale stores. That vinyl flooring can really help them out. All right, cross merchandising. This is typically going to be done in a zone where you have the ability to do it. It's not always possible to do cross merchandising. If you have a much smaller store, it is smaller or it's tougher to do. But this is cross merchandising is putting products together that work together. You may want to pick one single end cap to do cross merchandising in. Your entire store, it's going to be tough. But I've got a couple examples down here. Things like water hoses. With water hoses, yes, you're going to have water filters, pressure regulators, and hose storage together. That's pretty simple to have this together. You do have to think about, though, what is more important? Is the cross merchandising more important? Is the color blocking more important? To me, the face and fill is number one. The cross merchandising is number two, and the color blocking is number three, but it changes in stores. It does really change. So this is another one that somebody sent in from a dealership. I like the way they cross merchandise this. These are startup packages for customers. So they've got a basic accessory package, a premium accessory package. There's some nice signage at the top here, which I really like. And these are all items that you would get in this one package. They've got the big bulky items at the bottom. But this is an example of how you can do cross merchandising effectively in an RV store without changing too much around.
Hey Brent,
Yes.
can I chime in for a second?
Yes.
How much is too much? Let me ask you a question there too. How much
Yes.
is overexposure or too much in a small amount of space? Could you elaborate a little bit more on that, especially in the idea of cross merchandising, et
Yes,
cetera?
I
How
can.
much is
I
too
mean,
much?
I would, as we talked about those four different zones a little bit earlier, I would really mostly do the cross merchandising in the discovery zone. And what I mean for that is that's a section maybe 15, 10, 15, 20% of your store. We
Okay.
don't have products that should, remember, you never want to make merchandising better than findability. They still need to
Hmm.
find the product.
Yeah.
Right? So they still need to be able to find the product. So again,
Hmm.
that's why I keep talking about maybe that end cap or things like that. A featured display 15 feet in the center of the store, that
Yeah.
idea. But
Okay.
it's great to do. A nice thing about cross merchandising, I think, Patrick, is if you have an item you know you're selling all the time, that should be in more than one area. And
Hmm.
that's an item that should be cross merchandised because people are going to look for it, and then they might see items that are cross merchandised with it and purchase those additional items.
Got it. Thank you.
No problem. So I did want to talk about fixtures a little bit. I would say 90% of RV dealers use gondolas. This is a gondola. This has a metal frame. The backing on it a lot of time is pegboard. Sometimes it's a metal. Gondolas I know work great. It's what everybody uses all of the time. Um, they hold a lot of stuff. They're strong, and I realize that, but I will challenge you to try something a little bit different. I wish I had better pictures here, but here's a couple of examples. Tables and wooden shelving like this. It changes the way the interior of your store looks. So if you're going to do one little section, like we talked about the cross merchandising maybe, or a discovery area, try to change the fixtures up there a little bit. It's going to bring some more visual appeal to those products and make those products slightly more valuable. Couple other ideas. This is a couple things I pulled off Facebook Marketplace. Here's a $150 canoe, right? I love canoes. Not a great picture, I know. This is inside of a flagship LL Beam store, but they've got it covered in stuff. Canoes are awesome for merchandising, and the customers like them, and they still look like they're camping a little bit. That's the great thing. So here's a Chevy truck bed. Probably a little bit more money at $900, but you can do some cool displays with an old truck bed. So what I mean by this is think outside the box a little bit. One thing I've done at some of my retail stores is I actually went to a local college, found out if the college had a visual arts program, and hired one of the kids there that's actually studying merchandising. They've got art schools all over the place. High schools do this type of thing. These kids are dying, would love to have the opportunity to go into an RV parts store and help you out. I don't expect us all to have an eye for color and design and cross merchandising, but if you can find some kid to come in one day a month, 2 days a month, and you're paying them $25 an hour, that is money well spent. And I promise you, they're going to see things that you do not see. So it's just a little thing that you can do, thinking outside the box there. All right, large item challenge. Big things are always a little bit tougher to display. So when you're looking at awnings, bike racks, storage systems, all these types of things, they're bulky, sometimes they're expensive. Sometimes they are impossible to display, and I realize that. But we are going to try to talk about a couple of ways to solve this challenge. All right, one display model. This is something I think everybody can do. This is an example with bike racks. Make sure you get one out of the box whenever possible. Bike racks are expensive, hitches are expensive. If you've got room for one, it's going to make a big difference. You can put things on vertical wall displays. This is something I've done in a lot of my stores before. Yeah, oftentimes if you've got ceilings that are taller than 8 feet, 10, 12, 14, 16 feet, some of these items can be placed really high up, and you could still have regular merchandising below it. Photo boards. I don't know how many of you have ever used Canva. I'm sure some of you have, but Canva, C-A-N-V-A, is a very inexpensive way to do some pretty cool merchandise, or some pretty cool some pretty cool signage. So it's an inexpensive way. The accounts are free for the basic accounts, and you can do some great signage on there, getting some of the media and assets from the different RV manufacturers. But with something like an RV awning, you're not going to be able to display it. So if you could actually have a photo board, sometimes even in the customer waiting room, it's a great option. QR codes to videos. I've been working really hard in the Dometic Product Academy to do a lot more videos of our products. So if you're able to link a video to a product that maybe explaining to them how to install the product or going over the product, the features of the products. People love their phones nowadays. They love scanning QR codes. So if you can't display the product, that's another option. If you've got a box with 15 different pieces in it, if you can get one on display, it's great. I know these get moved around a lot and people sometimes pick up things and get them out of order. But if you're able to display one of them, it's going to help out. Again, I talked about placing items high up, overhead, hanging. If you haven't done this already, find some of your nice premium large items, hang them up high. It's going to create some visual interest. It's going to save that floor space a good bit from things on the bottom. Um, I've talked about end caps a good bit. So I love end caps. Retailers love end caps, merchandisers do. So it is a place you can do one large item per month. So maybe you find out 6 or 8 large items you can't normally display, but at least you try to get those on display once a year, whenever you feel like it's going to be the best season for it. And then lastly, for everything else, have a catalog station if possible, or have a way that customers can look at these items that they're not able to see that are boxed up inside of your store. Most dealers out there do provide catalogs. Large items are tough. Now, one of my favorite things, signage. This is a funny little thing. Showers $1 to watch $2, right? So it is comedy, of course. This next one I love too. Black Horse Farms, pot dealer. They sell tons and tons of flowers and plants, and they sell a lot of pots, right? So I don't think you're going to probably put this up in your store, but signage can be really, really big. So we're going to talk about a few key concepts. For effective signage, it does the selling when your staff can't be there. So a couple of things, keep it simple. We all want to put too much on the sign. Oh my gosh, this thing has 7 features. We've got to list all of them. They got to know about all of them. No, keep it simple. If you make good signage, they will then pick up the product and see all of the features. Number 2, focus on the benefits. An example I have here, instead of saying insulated to 20 degrees Fahrenheit, the benefit is prevents frozen pipes. So whenever you can list benefits, it changes the customer's mindset a little bit to, oh, wait, I had a frozen pipe, that's going to stop it. So try to think about your benefits. Number 3, clear hierarchy. So you need to decide the hierarchy in your store, but it needs to remain somewhat consistent. So here I've got product name, benefit, price, and then maybe additional details. But you do want to have some clear hierarchy, and if you keep it consistent, the customer's eyes knows where to go throughout the store to see that type of price wherever they're looking in the same location. If you're changing that up where the price is located, it's not as pleasing to the eye. If needed, have visuals. Right? So it's okay to put visuals on signage. Typically what I mean for this is up high over your merchandising areas. It's the same reason that automobile dealers learned that people can read an analog speedometer better than a digital speedometer, right? So this is an idea. They're going to actually see the picture of a solar panel before they even have a chance to read solar battery charger. So when you've got areas like plumbing written at the top, actually having a piece of plumbing oftentimes will help. We spoke about this a little bit, answering common questions. If it's needed, put those down. If you're going to create some urgency for an item, do it, but don't have it everywhere. So if you've got something that you've only got a few of, if it's brand new, it's okay to create urgency, but more than often not, the big thing I want you to do is maintain consistency. I don't mean just in the hierarchy, but in the color, in the font. If you have 4 different people handwriting signs for you that look different, it's just not going to be effective. If you have to handwrite signs, figure out who has the best handwriting in the dealership and get them to do it all. Don't let everybody do it. I would rather you use a program like Canva or something else to make that consistent signage. So,
Hey Brent, question
yes.
for you. So what about digital signage? You know, using all of these 7 items here and
Mhm.
incorporating Canva or dynamic displays. Could you talk a little bit more about that as a best practice or not?
Yeah, I think you can. The problem with dynamic changing displays is I only like to use those in areas, you don't want to use it in areas Like you would never want to have it say plumbing and electrical and flipping, because
Sure.
then they're
Right.
not going to be able to find their
Right.
area. But
Right.
there
Yeah.
are definitely places I would probably choose to use dynamic signage on a maybe on that featured area like I spoke
Mm-hmm.
about. I would
Mm-hmm.
like to use it seasonally, and I'll get into
Okay.
seasonal in a few moments. I can see
Got it.
seasonally like winterization, and then you list 5 products after that. I
There
think
you
that would
go.
be a good
Okay.
time to use it. But doing things handwritten, I'm okay with handwritten. There's some amazing menus that are handwritten and
Mm-hmm.
chalkboards, but make sure it looks good. I have to use digital because my handwriting is horrible.
Yep. Me too. Me too. Yep.
So,
Mm-hmm.
few other little things is use an easy to read font. Don't try cursive in these funky fonts. Do something that people can see from afar. Put it 20 feet away from you. Make sure you can read it. Do a test. I've actually printed out 4 different signs in 4 different fonts, put them at the end of the store, and asked my employees to say which one can you read easiest. So it's an easy fix to do. Use a color that stands out, and after printing, look at your sign. The funniest is when you see all these misspellings and things that are, somebody flips out 50 signs and they actually messed up on the price, they messed up on the spelling. Take a chance to look at it. All righty, I'm going to try to get through this next one in about 5 minutes here, but inventory organization, making the products easy to find. So we've talked a lot about categorization, and I realize there's a lot of different types of things out there, but there's 2 different ways to really organize the entire store: category based or use based. I would stick with category based for an RV store, because we have more often than not mission shoppers that are coming in looking for a particular item. It's rare that we just get somebody coming into our RV parts store just, oh, I just came in today to look around. If they say that, they're more often than not lying. They just don't want to tell you what they're looking for. So I like to use the category based organization. It does miss some cross sell opportunities and it's less intuitive for browsers, but we typically have those mission shoppers. This use based organization is where I like to use in that discovery zone, like I talked about. I do like to use it for seasonal things. And I'm going to get into that in a couple of minutes. But again, when we have the change of seasons, winterization is that prime example. You may want to have that one winterization area with everything that it deals with storing that RV away in one area. We talked about facing and filling, so I'm not going to get into that a whole lot again, but we do want to fill those gaps and have those products faced forward. All right, keeping displays sharp when it's busy. This is something I think everybody's been into a public bathroom. You walk in the bathroom and you look on the wall and you see a little white sheet, and there's supposed to be somebody initialing that sheet every hour to make sure that bathroom is clean, right? If you're one person in your store, you're not going to do this every hour, right? If you've got 5 people, you probably can, but you should have some type of systematic approach to keep things cleaned up, whether it's hourly, whether it's twice a day, whether it's once a day. Make sure somebody is signing off on how it looks, so somebody is responsible. So an example is every 2 3 hours, do that 15-minute sweep. Um, this is something you'll have to figure out your own timing on how busy you are, if that's required. Somebody's just walking through really quickly, making sure it's faced and filled. There's no empty stocks. That's it. You need to make sure all staff knows they should straighten things. Make this a culture. When I walk by with a customer, I'll still straighten things up as long as it doesn't affect my speed too much. Customers like to see that you're working. If you're the manager and you straighten things, your employees will do it too. Don't make them be the only one that does it. You need to do it. Um, self-service bins. We're going to skip that a little bit. End of day reset. Start each day fresh. You should leave your store looking clean because you never know what you're going to encounter the next morning. There's so many times that I was exhausted at night. Now, we'll clean it up in the morning. And then I go in and I had 16 emails I had to do before I could clean it up. So whenever possible, try to do your resets at the end of the day. Make sure everything is clean and organized before you leave, and it's just going to look better when you come in. All righty. um, we all know this, the 80-20 rule, 20% of SKUs likely generate 80% of your parts revenue. Make sure they're in multiple locations. Make sure they're eye level. Make sure you've got extra stock. I think this is pretty important, but we don't need to spend a lot of time on it. I want you to make sure that you identify your fast movers maybe monthly. What they're not the same every month. You're going to see some different products in the spring than the fall. Make sure you're keeping that 80-20 rule. You're keeping all of your effort on that top 20% of SKUs. Make those your priority. So again, I keep repeating that, I know, but when you go through this, make sure to keep that a priority. All right, last thing, seasonal merchandising. My last little module here. Merry Christmas. Not yet. Got a few months. We're not going to go through this. This is something I can send you guys. I think you all know it, but a lot of people are not implementing it. A few times a year, you need to change your store up, and this is the best times to do is when we're going into new seasons. Right now, I'm in late spring, at least in Georgia. Some of you guys may be in early spring, depending on how far north you are. But this is a great time. People are really actually getting out there and camping. They've already got their camping. They've already got their trailer out of storage. They're already got their trip set up, so it's the perfect time to figure out that outdoor furniture to do those lifestyle displays. In late fall, we're going to do winterization prep. In winter, we're going to do dreaming and gift giving. People will come to your store to buy gifts at an RV store. They really, really will if you haven't merchandised correctly. So think about that. All righty. This is a pretty cool display I made. It's going to be tough, but try to make one really good display using that Canva, using something similar to that. What I would like you to use to think about this is if you make a display that's successful and it does draw customers in, take a picture of it. It's surprising what you forget from the year before. So taking pictures of it can make a big difference in making sure, and eventually you know how to do your reset every single year. So it's kind of a nice thing to end up doing. I think we're about done. I'm going to leave a couple more minutes. So we do want to plan these seasonal transitions. I like to develop a monthly merchandising plan, just like you guys all buy monthly buying plans probably. So if you know what you're bringing in, make sure the stuff you're bringing in heavy, you have a merchandising plan to complement that. All righty. That is about it for me. So I am going to stop this sharing, and
Okay.
I would love to see if anybody has any questions that I can possibly help out with. Um, if you would like to use the Q&A, you can do that at the top of
Mm-hmm.
your screen. Or if anybody would like to raise their hand and discuss anything, I can also take you off mute and we can chat.
Awesome. Well, while we're trying to get some in the queue, I'm just reading my notes, Brent. That was great. Define zones, discovery zones. Ask me about face and fill. Make sure your signage is new, clear of clutter. Eye level is bi level at all, arranging from light to dark. Luxury vinyl flooring. Inexpensive cross merchandising. Hire young talent. I really love that. Take somebody out of a local art school at all too to help you work on some of that signage there too. Keeping it simple, focusing on the benefits, sweeping every 2 to 3 hours. Make sure everybody is contributing to straighten things up around the parts department there. That's awesome. This is anybody got any questions in the
Well, thank
meantime?
you, Patrick. I will
Sure.
say, I will add into this is a class that I'm publishing on Dometic Product Academy. So I did just stick an email in that chat. If any of you are interested in joining the Dometic Product Academy, this is my 10-second sales pitch. Got
There you
about
go.
70 classes on Dometic products, but I also do classes on things like merchandising, on the challenge your sales methodology, on negotiation tactics. So although a lot of it is on Dometic products, I try to make sure that all of you out there have the tools you need to be a successful dealer.
Awesome. Well, we hope to have you, Brent, at our RVDA convention and expo in
Thank you.
November. I'll put a quick plug in for that. We're now accepting applications, and I know you've already submitted your workshop itself. So we do appreciate that. So I'm going to look over one last time for anybody who has any questions at all, and leave it open for anybody to raise their hands. We had about 45 people, I think, that participated in this. So I do
Yeah.
appreciate everybody. I will put my email on there, and I know Brent, you included a link to the Dometic Product Academy. So I guess that will. I think we tried to keep it to about 45 minutes. So I think that wraps it up for today's event on merchandising. Feel free to contact me, and I would be happy to connect you to our other webinars that we do at RVDA for our dealer members. I want to thank everyone for participating and hopefully learning some creative ideas to implement at your RV dealership. And good luck. It is the selling season right now. Good luck selling. I know it's tough right now, but I know that's the great thing about dealers is we're optimists. We know things are going to get better. So please keep a lookout for more RVDA sponsored webinars in the future. And Brent, I will leave you with the last word there.
Well, thank you very much, Patrick, again for having me on here. Feel free that if you have any questions, you can also email me at productacademy at Dometic.com. If you want to send me pictures of merchandising or things like that, I'd be glad to try to help out when possible.
Very good. Thank you, Brent. Thank you,
Alrighty.
everybody. Have a good afternoon. Okay.
See ya.
Adios.